As a poverty-stricken academic prodigy hailing from the four provinces of the mountains and rivers, my paramount aspiration is to gain admission to the prestigious Tsinghua or Peking University and subsequently secure a government position, ideally establishing my residency in the capital city. Yet, my scores fall short. They are woefully inadequate. I immerse myself in my studies to the point of mental exhaustion, my scalp betraying signs of premature balding. During the first mock examination of my senior year, an astonishing revelation struck me. I am, in fact, the true daughter of the Su family in the capital, exchanged at birth. A flicker of hope ignited within my once dull eyes. With a wave, I bid farewell to my envious classmates, those pitiful little souls. I am off to take the college entrance examination in the capital. My dear friend expresses her concern. In novels, affluent parents unconditionally support their false daughters, so be cautious, fear not, fear not. I am merely after the residency. Their intentions are dubious, and once the examination concludes, I shall return, I reassure her. After all, my grandmother had always harbored hopes for my success during her lifetime. I donned the school uniform bestowed upon me by my former institution, shouldering a tattered, yellowing canvas bag. And my worn shoes seemed utterly incongruous with the opulent surroundings of the living room. The servant ushered me into the parlor, requesting that I wait momentarily. From the upper floor, a cacophony of sounds erupted, accompanied by a girl's frantic screams. Several voices attempted to soothe her, and I discerned their identities through their tones. Z. Fear not, she cannot surpass you. You are, after all, the daughter whom Mother has nurtured for 17 years. That must be Mother Su. If Lin Siwang treats you well, we shall keep her. If not, we can simply cast her out upon reaching adulthood, came the haughty voice of second brother Su. Now, do not throw a tantrum. We must not give outsiders a spectacle, admonished the indifferent deep voice of eldest brother Su. I listened quietly, pondering, is this what they call establishing authority? I felt a twinge of despondency. To familiarize myself with my newfound kin, I had nearly forsaken 2 days of study, marking the beginning of my academic decline as a senior. They seemed to have more to discuss. So I discreetly took out my mock examination papers from the last 5 years and began tackling the questions. The final fill-in-the-blank question eluded me, causing me to tug at my hair in frustration. The draft paper soon filled with scribbles. A voice interrupted my concentration. We have finished. We can converse now. Just a moment. We are almost done. A sudden insight struck me. Hey, what are you pretending for? Do you aspire to cultivate an image of a diligent student? Second brother Su stepped forward, attempting to seize my paper. I swatted him away with my pen. Get off. Shut your mouth. This is so irritating. I can't write like this. Second brother Su let out a cry of pain. I tucked my paper away, noticing the discontent etched on the faces of the onlookers. Mother Su hesitated before saying, Siwang, please refrain from studying in the living room next time. The table is too low for comfort, and everyone is still waiting for you. I politely apologized. I am sorry. I assumed you would converse for a while longer, and without a room of my own, I resorted to working here. Mother Su paused, glancing at eldest brother with a look of confusion. Eldest brother chastised the butler with an air of guilt. Aunt Wang, did you not think to inform us when the young lady arrived? Aunt Wang cast a glance at Z. My apologies. I saw you all busy upstairs and did not call her. Z recoiled in fear, and Mother Su comforted her tightly. I felt a wave of exasperation. Such poor acting, the level of pretension in this affluent family was astonishing. Father Su surveyed me carefully, seemingly satisfied with my composed demeanor, and slowly remarked, Lin Siwang, you did not grow up in the Su family. There are some undesirable habits you possess that are unsuitable for Z's school. First, adhere to the rules of the Su household and take note of them. The butler respectfully presented me with a lengthy sheet of paper, which I glanced over. 1. Sir, enjoys tranquility, dislikes celery, must not be looked at directly, bow at a 90-degree angle when serving. 2. Madam, brews soup at 6 in the morning with dew. Prefers 45-degree water for evening foot baths. 3. Miss Z, loves braised eggplant, detests beef, favors Western cuisine for breakfast. The paper was filled with the habits of the 5 principal members of the Su family, along with a list of places within the estate I was forbidden to enter, an abundance of malice. It felt utterly anachronistic, as if I had been thrust into a novel where I was being bullied. I returned the paper to Father Su. Bowing politely, I apologize, but I do not wish to commit this to memory. I have returned to the Su family to prepare for the college entrance examination, not to be relegated to a servant status. If I am unwelcome here, I can simply return. What are you saying? Father Su unfurled the paper with a perplexed expression, his countenance growing increasingly grave as he turned his disappointed gaze toward the pale-faced Z, crumpling the paper in his fist and discarding it. He then softened his tone. It was the butler's error. She mistakenly provided you with the rules for the servants. I understood he was protecting Z's dignity, but why should the matter conclude thus? Might I request an apology? Father Su hesitated before nodding. I wish to attend Z's school. His eyes flickered with conflict, yet he conceded. All right. Follow Z closely and do not offend anyone. I nodded vigorously. Having heard that the teachers there were all graduates of prestigious universities, I would strive to excel. Z clutched the wall tightly, her knuckles turning white. Mother Su and eldest brother were baffled, while second brother Su sought to defend her. Wasn't it agreed that we only love our sister? Why must Lin Siwang's return lead to Z's suffering? Z shook her head, her eyes reddening. No, do not say that. Second brother. This was never mine to begin with. Sister, I will not compete with you. I will leave the Su family and return to my own home. There was no need for me to deny it. Tears welled in her eyes. You are the true Z. I should bear the surname Lin. I did not wish to deny again. This was Z's home. They could not force her away. Second brother. He shouted angrily, glaring fiercely at me. I fell silent after attempting to intervene, allowing them to finish their performance. I realized then that Z was the epitome of the White Lotus, while second brother was a foolish buffoon. I silently appreciated this free show put on by the scions of the affluent family. It felt like a reward I deserved for scoring 650 on my mock exam. Z persisted in her desire to return to her rightful place. While her two brothers enveloped her in comforting embraces, their faces etched with concern. Bored, I began reciting classical literature in my mind, as it required no mental exertion and allowed me to observe the unfolding situation. Mother Su looked at me with an awkward expression. Siwang. Z's parents have been replaced with you, but she is innocent. This is her home. Can you coexist harmoniously with her? I set down my pen and replied earnestly. Shouldn't we ask her? In this household, I hold no authority. She is the one who dictates our relationship. Second brother erupted in fury. Are you implying that we are being unfair to you? Was this man not in his right mind? My disdainful gaze provoked him. He raised his fist as if to strike me, but eldest brother quickly intervened. Super brother. Father Su frowned. Are you blaming us for being biased? Or for losing you? I calmly explained, there is no need to distort concepts to obscure the truth. I can understand your bias. I have many relatives in the orphanage, and should conflicts arise, I would undoubtedly defend them, but... Eldest brother furrowed his brow, while second brother scoffed. Relatives from an orphanage are hardly respectable. Are you saying you would protect her rather than this stranger? I paused, realizing they neither wished nor could comprehend my perspective. Z is the one you raised with care. And your bond with her is profound. You should understand her. If she truly wished to leave, she would quietly pack her bags and depart rather than force me to choose. This is, of course, the confidence you have given her. In summary, none of those present were virtuous. A stunned silence enveloped the room. I turned to Z and inquired earnestly, do you genuinely wish to leave? I will not intervene. Z, her eyes brimming with tears, nodded pitifully, yes, I am sorry. I nodded, all right, if this is your heartfelt choice, I shall assist you in realizing it. I inquired of the butler regarding Zi's room, preparing to help her pack her belongings. Second brother Su, exasperated, shoved me aside, causing me to collide with the corner of the table, the teapot crashing down and dousing me in tea. Enough. Stop pressuring her. How can you be so cruel? Seeking to expel her from her own home upon your arrival? She has been coddled since childhood. How could she survive without her family? Mother Su quickly helped me to my feet. I had struck my arm and it seemed bruised. My front was entirely soaked, the cloying scent invading my nostrils. She said she was sincere, I muttered, lowering my gaze. I asked her, I insisted. People must take responsibility for their choices. Mother Su's tone held a hint of reproach. Z is simply too kind. Her eyes are red. How could she be willing? You should not force her. She is also a victim. Eldest brother Su sighed impatiently. You know how despicable Z's parents are. How could she survive if she returned? I do not wish for such parents either, I lamented. I stared blankly at the tears falling from Z onto the floor, reflecting my own disheveled appearance. At that moment, I was genuinely grateful to have been swapped at birth. Had it been my close friend, she would have been in tears, and I would have had to console her. I glanced at the protected Z and sighed. They will not allow you to leave. You do not wish to go. Since no one has mentioned it. Why do you still feel the need to assert your presence and express your remorse towards me? You are so kind. Why not step forward to explain on my behalf? You are merely exacerbating the discord. Your intent is solely to compel me to recognize my place and to flaunt the affection you have garnered. She has enjoyed a life of princess-like privilege for 17 years, while I was deliberately misidentified and cast aside into an orphanage by her parents. I alone am the victim. Su Ji is the beneficiary in this scenario. Even had Su Ji not been misplaced, she would still be cherished by her biological parents and would never face abandonment. Upon concluding my statement, Su's mother stiffened, and Su Ji's sobs ceased abruptly. The same frozen expression reflected on the faces of her brothers. How vexing, they are so foolish. I too am foolish for attempting to persuade them. I hoisted my tattered backpack and, with polite insistence, requested the butler to guide me. I have been weary from my travels and wish to retreat to my room for rest. Su's mother and Su Ji hurriedly followed, with Su's mother asking, filled with guilt, Si Wang, which room do you prefer? I gazed upon several pristine and simply decorated rooms I had never occupied, feeling perplexed. In the orphanage, my friend and I resided in a storage closet, and at school, I slept in a dormitory with 12 others. Only at my grandmother's had I enjoyed a small room of my own. Noticing my hesitation, Su Ji opened the door to her own chamber, revealing a meticulously adorned princess's room exuding elegance and life. Sister, it is something I owe you. You're welcome to stay in my room if you desire, she said, her voice tinged with grievance. Observing Su's mother, whose face was filled with sympathy as she praised her for being a kind little treasure, I felt a momentary pang in my heart. My grandmother once held me close, soothing me, for I too was her darling. And she had always hoped that someone would care for me after her passing. I had prepared myself to be unloved. I shook my hands, rousing my wandering thoughts. This would be the last time I envied others, time to study diligently. Once I am financially independent, no one shall bring me sorrow. As Su Degu ascended the stairs, he noticed the dejected Su Ji and then turned to observe me, lost in contemplation at her door, his brows knitting together. Mother, this is Ji Yi's room. Why must you covet this one among so many different styles? She has suffered greatly, but we can compensate her in other ways. We cannot disregard her feelings. Su Ergo, still grappling with the remnants of my earlier words in his limited intellect, remained silent. Su Ji said nothing, merely shaking her head in tears as she gazed at Su Degu. I averted my gaze, thinking, you may keep it. There is no need to perform acts of goodwill for the sake of others. Su Ji anxiously attempted to explain herself. I pointed to a room situated farthest from theirs. These rooms are all similar in decor. This location is ideal, so I choose this one. At least it is quiet and conducive to studying. Upon closer inspection, Su's mother and Su Degu noted that all the rooms were styled as sample rooms. Su's mother awkwardly interjected, I wasn't aware of your preferences. If there is anything you desire, do inform the servants, and they shall accommodate you. Her smile was cautious. But upon seeing my unruffled demeanor, a hint of sadness flickered across her face. Could you call me mother? She asked, hope glimmering in her eyes, while I prepared to decline. Suddenly, Su Ji threw herself into her embrace, calling her mother repeatedly, as if to release all her pent-up grievances. Su's mother turned to comfort her, neglecting my presence entirely. Witnessing the triumphant glint in Su Ji's eyes, I closed my mouth, retreating to my room. How awkward, I gently chastised my lips. You wretched mouth, how swiftly you react. She could not possibly think I wished to call her mother, could she? The following day at school, Su Erga, having been swayed by Su Ji, came to believe that I was merely feigning pity and that I deserved a lesson. He instructed Uncle Lee, the driver, to take him instead and not allow me in the car, departing with an air of nonchalance alongside a remorseful Su Ji. In the villa district, there were no other vehicles, and I reluctantly called Su Fu, who arranged for Gao Yan, the only son of the Gao family, to drive me. I was familiar with him. He was the man Su Ji admired, having rejected an alliance with her, while Su Fu aspired to connect with the Gao family. I climbed into the car of this unfamiliar man, feeling utterly tongue-tied, embarrassment creeping into my toes. It was my first moment of regret for returning to the Su household. My mind began to wander. I had not adequately prepared for my studies in recent days. What if my grades suffered? The thought of failing to meet expectations filled me with dread, prompting me to frantically pull out my vocabulary book and cram for every moment I could. Gao Yan, though seemingly gentle, was quite indifferent, perhaps fearing I would overthink, as he did not speak a word throughout our journey. Upon arriving, he calmly stated, "Next time you need anything, simply ring the bell next door." The welcoming teacher awaited me at the entrance. He was Su Ji's homeroom teacher and concurrently the grade director. He informed me, "You must be a distant relative of the Su family. Su Ji has mentioned your situation to me. Given your poor foundation, you may struggle in the advanced class. Let us place you in a regular class for now." I frowned. My academic standing was my utmost priority. Could it be that this school had set the bar so low at a mere 700? I could not allow superficiality to reign. I politely inquired, "What is the average score for the advanced class?" 600, he replied. "And what about Su Ji?" "She is an art student, likely scoring 30 to 40 points below the cutoff for the first tier. Thus, she was placed in the regular class." I found this puzzling. The director appeared somewhat impatient. "She is in the advanced class. For an art student, that score is commendable. The students in the advanced class maintain a close-knit relationship, and I do not wish for you to disturb them." "You do not wish to attend the regular class?" "I would very much prefer the advanced class," I asserted, relieved that I would not be separated from her. It felt as though, upon recognizing our kinship, the world had taken on an odd hue. Did they not possess my previous school records? Su Ji's words were taken at face value. Upon entering the classroom, I was a minute late, and the teacher requested a self-introduction. "I am Lin Si Wang, and I hope to coexist harmoniously with everyone in the upcoming 6 months." A murmur spread through the room as I listened intently. Is there a notable Lin family? Did she not claim to be from H province? What talent could possibly emerge from such an educationally deprived place? Aren't they all mere copyists? So she must be dull-witted. The room was filled with derisive hisses, and no one paid me any mind as I found a seat. I felt a surge of joy and solitude, free from disturbances. Each day, I studied alone, purchasing a pastry from the cafeteria when hunger struck, then returning home. Upon learning that Gao Yan had driven me, Su Ji pleaded with Su Erga to accompany her in picking me up. A week into the semester, a significant mock college entrance examination was scheduled, one that the school valued highly. Su's mother even took to the kitchen to encourage Su Ji. In the examination room, the moment I laid eyes on the Beijing city paper, an unparalleled joy nearly caused me to falter in my grip on the pen. A smile crept onto my lips as I recalled my graduated friend who had claimed the Beijing city paper would instill immense confidence. I finally understood her sentiment. Let me showcase the prowess of a student molded by the relentless sea of questions. I am the top student from H province, achieving a score of 650 even without grading incentives. I am a tireless individual, rising at 5 and sleeping at 1, taking only half days off each month. As the moment of truth approached, I swiftly put pen to paper, while the boy beside me repeatedly flipped through his exam booklet in disbelief. Is it really this easy? The invigilator circled back to me repeatedly, astonished that the students from the regular class could work at such a pace. Seeing me composed as a mountain with a mysterious smile gracing my lips, she curiously read through my paper. Subsequently, with eyes wide in admiration, she gestured to her fellow teachers, signaling, "What a talent." Upon completion, I felt an unprecedented clarity, devoid of any heaviness in my head. At dinner, Su Erga proudly praised Su Ji, saying, "Dad, Ji claims she will surely surpass the first-tier cutoff. We must reward her handsomely." Su Ji playfully swatted Su Erga, shyly looking down. "Please, it was merely that this set of questions was relatively easier." Su Diga smiled. "Our Ji truly excels." Su Fu and Su Mu exchanged glances, brimming with pride. I was listening to English through my headphones, only catching glimpses of their laughter at the dinner table. Su Fu casually queried, "What of Sinan? How did this set of questions compare to the previous ones?" I did not hear him, continuing to eat with gusto. Su Erga scoffed, "If it weren't for government subsidies, how could students like us afford to attend school? What merit could we possibly possess?" His words stirred Su Mu's sorrowful memories, her eyes glistening with guilt. Su Ji quickly interjected, Not everyone has to follow the educational path. My sister must have other talents. Little did she know, others were unaware of the depths of my past poverty. How could I possibly possess any talents? A flicker of dissatisfaction passed through Su Fu's eyes. I removed my headphones, thinking it inappropriate to wear them while dining with family. I removed my headphones and inquired, "Are we taking a mock exam?" Su Ji nodded, her face etched with concern. I responded nonchalantly, "The questions are quite novel. But the difficulty level is manageable. It should be fine." Su De frowned and retorted, "Lin Sinan, do not speak so boastfully." Su Mu quickly interjected, "It's good that Sinan is confident. She has just come from H province, and she is still getting accustomed to the questions here." I put my headphones back on and ascended the stairs, still needing to review a set of physics problems. The fact that they knew so little about me despite having checked my information indicated a profound disregard. Explaining oneself to those who do not believe in you is akin to releasing gas. There is no need for wind. The air dissipates on its own. Suddenly, Su Fu presented me with a substantial gold bracelet, leaving me perplexed. He appeared somewhat awkward, explaining, "Ji has one as well. It was prepared for you by your grandmother at the time of your birth." I was skeptical. Su Ji would never consent to such a gesture. While it was not the exact same piece, the style and weight were similar. Su Fu clarified that each sister received one, ensuring fairness. Gifts from men invariably harbor ulterior motives. If he truly felt guilty, why had he not given it to me upon my return home? He must be on the verge of committing something that would cause him to feel guilty. "Your surname cannot be changed for now. We will have to wait for the recognition ceremony." He dared not meet my gaze. I was not particularly concerned about this. Surnames are closely tied to inheritance. Recently, I observed that although Su Ji was favored, she had not engaged in any matters pertaining to family power. Furthermore, her studies were in the arts, and the rewards she received were limited to handbags and jewels, devoid of any shares in a corporation. Power resided solely in the hands of men, and their disdain for me would not soften merely due to blood relation or surname. If I sought to involve myself with the company, they would only grow more wary, potentially seeking to suppress me. It seemed more prudent to leverage the Su family's influence for my own development. The surname bestowed upon me by my grandmother was my sole remaining connection. I had no desire to change it unless absolutely necessary. Yet, I was concerned about my household registration. That was of paramount importance. Su Fu was taken aback by my calmness, stammering, "It has been transferred and is now in Beijing." I sighed in relief. That was satisfactory. "I won't put you in a difficult position. You may handle it as you see fit." Before leaving, I meticulously confirmed, "Will you guarantee that my household registration remains in Beijing?" Su Fu, irked by my lack of trust, assured me, "Of course, you are my child. Where else could your registration go?" I remained unconvinced. Their family had an unusual air about them, almost synthetic. "Swear it, recite after me," I insisted, providing him with a template. He regarded my serious demeanor and, reflecting on his actions, felt a rare pang of guilt, reluctantly swearing to it. "If I break my promise, may the company go bankrupt, and may I be left alone." Observing my satisfied departure, Su Fu fell into deep contemplation. Could it be that this child truly did not care about them at all? Was it normal for a child who had grown up in isolation to not yearn for parental love? He had always feared that she would adopt the vices of the common folk, and he wished to rid her of them. This had once been his most anticipated daughter. Recalling the adorable cooing infant in her cradle, he wondered if he had been too harsh on her. Should he reconsider? "Dad, stop overthinking." At this age, girls are often proud, eager to showcase their independence and appear aloof. "Indeed, Dad, we have treated her well, providing a life she once dared not dream of. She is quite self-aware, recognizing that she should not expect what does not belong to her." It seemed he had inadvertently voiced his thoughts, prompting both of his sons to comfort him. The statement sounded odd, yet it was not entirely unfounded. They had indeed treated her well. Perhaps it was a sign of aging, he mused, overthinking, for she was just a child after all. What child does not yearn for affection? Her lack of ambition stemmed from fear, which was acceptable enough. With Su Ji being the pampered one, the family dynamic remained harmonious. That child struggled academically, lacking any distinct talents, and would undoubtedly rely on the Su family. How could she ever leave? Su Mu also sought to reassure him. I received a message from my former class monitor, with whom I had maintained contact. My previous school had divided classes based on rankings, with 50 students per class. And I had consistently been in the top class. My performance remained stable within the top 50, with only occasional fluctuations. I spent my days immersed in exercises, my greatest passion being sleep, devoid of any intrigue or rivalry. Thus, I believed that all this overthinking stemmed from a lack of busyness, or perhaps too little homework assigned. The class monitor informed me that prior to the college entrance examination, they had arranged with the homeroom teacher for a study trip, planning to come to Beijing to visit me. She spoke earnestly. "See, Nan, everyone misses you." I felt a twinge of emotion in my steel-like demeanor, forcing a smile. "Please. No need for such sentimentality. I cannot bear it." This iron-willed girl fell into contemplation. Suddenly, it struck me, they couldn't possibly be plotting to drag me back to H province for the entrance exam. That would be too cruel. The class monitor was at a loss for words. My suspicions were not unfounded, as everyone had turned against me suddenly before my departure from H province. Their faces, twisted with jealousy, bore the grayish hue of exhaustion from sleepless nights as they attempted to launch a psychological assault on me, their skeletal hands gripping me tightly as they sought to bury me in Class 1 forever. The thought alone sent shivers down my spine. "I'll treat you all to a meal," I generously promised. The class monitor expressed concern. "Take care of yourself." After hanging up, I hesitated to confide in my best friend. Despite our previously unfiltered communication, given her nature, she would undoubtedly rush to find me, yet she had her own life to live. I buried my head deep in the blankets, with only the damp traces of my tears to testify to my current sorrow. Without family to love me, how could I not feel wronged? Treated differently every day, how could I not feel hurt? I merely understood that there were more people who loved me, having experienced genuine affection. Thus, I held little regard for their pitiful, insincere displays of love. The results were posted on the notice board. After completing a set of English exercises, I noticed that everyone had gone to check their scores, leaving the classroom eerily empty. I contentedly lowered my head, preparing to correct my work, intending to wait until the crowd had thinned before making my move. Suddenly, a girl burst in. She appeared to be the class monitor, her excitement evident as she shook me. "Lindsay Wang, you're incredible." 719. Dizzy. I implored her to stop shaking me. "First in the class. Linshin, you are the true deity. Let us see who still looks down on our class." "Sister. You are my only sister." The classmates lifted me in celebration, while students from other classes gathered curiously at the door. I buried my face in my hands, utterly embarrassed. My toes barely grazed the floor, leaving me feeling uneasy. The director seemed transformed, asking if I wished to transfer classes in a rather obsequious manner. I shook my head. "You mentioned that the relationships in the advanced class were too close-knit. I would surely not fit in. The atmosphere in the regular class is much better for studying. And I prefer it. Everyone has potential, wouldn't you agree?" Yes indeed." The director's complexion shifted from red to pale, yet he nodded with a smile. This was a promising student, and reprimanding her could cost him his position. The homeroom teacher and classmates gazed at me with admiration, their expressions tinged with regret as several approached to apologize. "I'm sorry for how we spoke about you behind your back. We never expected you would perform so well and not transfer to the advanced class." I smiled and forgave them. Human nature is such that we are drawn to strength. Could I be overlooked and disparaged for my poor grades? Their actions were certainly misguided, but I could forgive them because I simply did not care. After all, we are not the same kind of people, and I would not be part of their journey to the end. I clearly understood that none of the individuals I encountered upon arriving in Beijing were kindred spirits. The world felt as though it contained a significant flaw. Life had become increasingly theatrical, akin to a novel. From the moment I entered the Su household, the story had officially commenced. I was acutely aware that I was not the protagonist of this world. Yet, so what? I am the queen of my own life. Su Ji was absent from school due to her vocal lessons, and her grades were communicated to us by the director. Sumu had prepared a celebratory feast for her, inviting the neighboring Gao family to join. Once everyone had gathered, the Su family subtly endeavored to ingratiate themselves with the Gao family. Su Ji gazed ardently at Gao Yan, her eyes aflame with admiration. Observing this, Sumu smiled broadly and raised her glass. "Once Ji gains admission to Q University, I will rely on Xiao Yan to look after her." I cannot be of assistance. Not only must she pass the exam, but even if she does, we will not be in the same department. Gao Yan declined outright. Sumu froze mid-motion. As the child grows older, her demeanor becomes increasingly forthright. However, there is no need for concern. She won't be too much of a bother. Ji has become quite sensible now. Simply share with her a few anecdotes about your school and offer her some encouragement. Mr. Su chuckled heartily. Gao Yan sat in silence, consuming his meal, while an air of awkwardness enveloped the dining room. Mrs. Go smiled gently and raised her glass in a toast to Mrs. Su, saying, Xiaoyan is quite busy too. If you need anything, just reach out to us. Mr. Gao chimed in, indeed, old Su. Let us refrain from meddling in the children's affairs. The two elder brothers of the Su family exchanged worried glances, noting the redness in Ji's eyes, torn between anger and restraint. I struggled to suppress a smile, stifling my laughter to the point of breathlessness. Ever since I discovered that this was a novel, I often found myself unable to contain my amusement. Is this truly a narrative of the wealthy penned by the impoverished? To gain admission to a prestigious university, one must rely solely on their own efforts. Donations won't suffice, nor can one simply study abroad. Shouldn't it be an easy task to gather insights about the school from several graduates of Q University? Yet, they insist on inquiring about the young master next door. The young scions and heiresses view the college entrance examination as more critical than life itself. To clarify, the college entrance examination is undoubtedly significant. There is no intention to belittle anyone. The awkwardness was abruptly interrupted by the ringing of Mrs. Su's phone. She rose with delight, exclaiming, It's GES homeroom teacher. They must be calling to discuss the mock exam results, and we're still in the midst of our meal. Mr. Su feigned seriousness. After all these years of being neighbors, what is it that we cannot hear, right, old Gao? Mr. Gao chuckled awkwardly, while Gao Yan raised his eyes with interest. Uncle Su is truly magnanimous, bestowing immense confidence upon Mr. Su. The call was placed on speaker so we could all listen in while we continued our meal. Mrs. Su activated the speakerphone. This is the homeroom teacher and headmaster. He spoke in an official tone, with a hint of discontent underlying his words. Mrs. Su, GES score on this mock exam is 541, which exceeds the first-tier admission line by 3 points. Upon hearing this, Mrs. Su's face lit up with joy, given the teacher's serious tone. She had feared Ji had not performed well. However, I must inquire about the matter of Lin Siwang being a distant relative residing with you. Is this true? I need to understand her better. The entire table turned in shock toward the pure and innocent Ji, who hung her head, clutching the tablecloth tightly. Mr. Su furrowed his brow, wondering if Lin Siwang had caused any trouble. This headmaster is, after all, the nephew of the tax bureau director. Intent on making a name for himself in the education sector, we cannot afford to offend him. He is accustomed to placing burdens upon me, often forgetting there are outsiders present. She has just been brought back from a small town. There may be some minor issues with her moral character. If she has done anything inappropriate, please inform me so that I can educate her properly. A gasp came from the other end of the line. What are you saying? Are you not close to Lin Siwang? Mr. Su quickly denied. She is merely a distant relative, not someone we raised. The sound of chopsticks striking the bowl rang out clearly as the three members of the Gao family exchanged meaningful glances, realizing they were denying association while simultaneously passing judgment. The headmaster was profoundly disappointed. Are you not aware of Lin Siwang's actual situation? Ji informed me on the day Lin Siwang registered that both her academic performance and character were lacking. However, she scored 719 on the mock exam, ranking first. He continued, with your level of education, how could GE score so low? If I could secure such a high-achieving student this year, I would surely be promoted to vice principal. Moreover, if you had a good relationship with her, you could persuade her to join my class. Mr. Su was left in a daze, attempting to rebut. The headmaster impatiently interrupted, please ensure GE receives proper education. If she hadn't spoken ill of Lin Siwang, she would certainly be in my class right now. The call was abruptly terminated. The atmosphere became thick with tension, and silence fell over the table. Mr. Su sat in stunned disbelief, realizing that all was lost. He had invested considerable resources in fostering a connection with the tax bureau through his 3 children. And now that was severed. Ji was wide-eyed with astonishment, her body trembling. How could Lin Siwang be so formidable? Isn't she supposed to be financially constrained? Doesn't she work every day, unable to focus on her studies? Feeling Mr. Su's subtle yet fierce demeanor, Ji's eyes betrayed a mix of fear and resentment. She understood all too well that in the grand scheme of things, she was inconsequential compared to vested interests. In a moment of anxiety, she gripped the tablecloth tightly, pulling down all the dishes atop it. The Gao family, already inclined to leave, sidestepped the calamity, while Mr. and Mrs. Su found themselves splattered with soup and rice. The utensils flung from the table grazed the bodies of the Su family's elder brothers. Su erga stunned, touched his face to find it smeared with blood, his shock prompting a shriek. I've been disfigured. Suddenly, it dawned on me that my second brother was a celebrity reliant on his looks. Gao Yan could no longer contain his laughter. A foster daughter bullying the legitimate heiress of the Su family isn't enough. She even wishes to eliminate us with a dining knife. He smirked at me. If I were to care for someone, I would choose Lin Siwang, a worthy investment, rather than a counterfeit who squanders resources. What do you think, Uncle Su? Mr. Su appeared deep in thought, while Ji trembled, her eyes brimming with tears as she regarded Gao Yan with a look of betrayal. Enough. Can't you see Miss Su is in tears? Mrs. Gao interjected, offering an apology to Mrs. Su. Xiao Yan is rather blunt, always speaking uncomfortable truths. We should take our leave. Before departing, she slipped a piece of paper into my palm, her well-groomed fingers exuding a fragrance, her voice soft. Stay strong. If you wish to leave, you can stay at our home. Should you need anything, reach out to Xiao Yan. It was Gao Yan's phone number. Once everyone had exited, Mr. Su displayed a hint of regret in his eyes. His tone softened. Si Wang, having performed so well, do you desire any rewards? I want to board at school. Mrs. Su was taken aback. I wish to board at school, I stated nonchalantly. Mr. Su looked puzzled, the situation slipping beyond his control. I sensed his mood was rather pleasant today, so I patiently explained, the atmosphere at home is unfavorable. It distracts me from my studies. Mrs. Su awkwardly smiled. What are you saying, child? What is wrong with being with family? School can be cold and uncaring. Under my gaze, she fell silent. Mr. Su closed his eyes in resignation. Very well, but you must return home every weekend. Do not forget that you are a member of the Su family. I feigned an expression of reluctance, mixed with a hint of admiration, and Mr. Su's eyes flickered with deeper meaning. I inwardly scoffed. I am not starved for affection. A little trash can be disregarded. As a nearly adult girl with a sharp intellect, how could they perceive her as a fool in matters of the heart? My acting skills are quite commendable. It may be challenging to manipulate the genuinely affluent, but to toy with these dim-witted antagonists is a piece of cake. Upon reaching the doorway of my room, Su Erga called out to me. He rarely displayed any semblance of guilt, awkwardly stating, please leave the door ajar for me. I'll come find you once I've comforted Ji. Oh. I promptly locked the door behind me. He would soon discover that Ji would easily have him wrapped around her finger again. Did he think I was 3 years old, still engaging in midnight heart-to-heart talks? As expected, Su Erga did not arrive that evening. I heard from Aunt Wang that he had spent an extensive time comforting Ji. Ji simply lacked security. He recalled his childhood and felt guilty, telling her fairy tales to lull her to sleep. Miss Si Wang, please wait a moment for the second young master. He will likely come to find you shortly. There's one last story about a frog prince, and then we'll be finished. Aunt Wang saw me carrying a large suitcase early the next morning. She rushed over with a frown to block my way. Miss, don't be so impatient. Don't easily go back on your word. It reflects poorly on our upbringing and may cause others to look down on the Su family. I asked you, I retorted. Aunt Wang was momentarily taken aback. How amusing, this chaotic world, this chaotic Su family. How dare a servant confront the master? Does she no longer wish to work? I have yet to finish my college entrance examinations. I might tolerate the Su family, but why should I endure you? I am not someone you can command. There are plenty willing to take a job for 30,000 a month. Just as Aunt Wang was about to counter, I dialed Mrs. Su's number directly. My voice trembled. Aunt Wang, Mother Su was exceedingly anxious, for today marked the pinnacle of her maternal affection towards me. She was quite perceptive. Did she bully you? Indeed, she incessantly recounted the deep bond between second brother and Ji, asserting that I could forever remain in the shadows, enviously watching them. For no one would ever treat me with sincerity. Mother Sue, struck to her core, was engulfed in profound rage. Acknowledging the malevolence of Su Ji, whom she had raised, was tantamount to conceding her family's failures. In her self-deception, she clung to the belief that Ji had always been pure and kind, unable to fathom how she had devolved into her current state. Aunt Wang, who habitually sowed discord, became the scapegoat. It was undoubtedly her instigation that poisoned Ji's mind. Thus, I resolved to blacklist her, ensuring she could no longer pursue her career. Observing the panicked and pleading Aunt Wang, I felt an unusual satisfaction in Mother Sue's concern for Ji. I had several friends, all orphans like myself, lacking parental guidance and education. Could I recommend them for employment? They were adept and nimble, having spent our childhood collecting bottles and washing dishes to earn a living. Mother Sue reminisced about my past life, her guilt threatening to bring her to tears. I continued to paint a woeful picture. Fearing that one day you might cast me aside, I was not as exceptional as my siblings. Thus, might you extend some kindness towards them, allowing us to enjoy a few more days of a good life, creating cherished memories before we part? Mother Sue succumbed to tears, conceding, "Very well. I shall provide each of them with a monthly salary of 50,000. Will 2 positions suffice?" It was a fault of the mother, indeed. As I listened to her lengthy confession, I impatiently set my phone aside and leaned closer to Aunt Wang, whispering, "Do you believe yourself irreplaceable? Blame the 3 Sue siblings for using you as a pawn while neglecting your escape route." Hatred and regret burned fiercely in Aunt Wang's eyes. Yet her target was not me. I had a portion. My close friend could at least spend 50 cents. I would not allow her to suffer. However, the other companions from the orphanage were not my intimate friends, and I would not be a fool to unconditionally provide them with money. Yet, as the adage goes, do not forget those who prosper. I would offer them an opportunity. Whether they could ascend depended solely on their own efforts. I informed the orphanage group about the Sue family's need for 2 maids and departed with my suitcase. In school, I existed in a different stratum from the Sue family, and no one was privy to my identity. As long as they did not deliberately seek me out, we remained worlds apart. The school placed a premium on exemplary students, thoughtfully assigning me and a top student to share a dormitory. Over the past 2 months, I had cultivated a harmonious relationship with my roommate. We seized every moment, sharing meals and engaging in discussions. When Sue father and Sue mother noticed my absence from home on weekends, their inherent pride prevented them from bending. Yet, a month later, they could no longer contain themselves, and Mother Sue called. I feigned indifference, saying, "Oh dear, the pressure is overwhelming. I simply have no time." Yet GE manages to come home every day? "Oh, I score as well as she does." Mother Sue's tone softened. "GE, return home. We all miss you." I understood that it was no small feat to coax such words from the proud Mother Sue. But what of it? I was impervious to such tactics. "Yes, I miss you too. However, maintaining this score is exhausting. I am truly busy with my studies. You wouldn't comprehend the rigors of learning. I will return when I can." Over the past 2 months, I had received only 1 call, employing a uniform template for rejection, first expressing my fatigue, then pointing out their lack of understanding, concluding with a note of longing. After this routine, they found themselves at an impasse with me. My roommate admired my fortitude, marveling at my inner strength. Roommate A remarked, "How hypocritical. If they truly cared, why don't they come to see you?" Roommate B added, "Exactly. I don't even want to go home. My parents are nearly in despair, taking turns delivering meals and fruits, fearing for my health." Roommate A quickly silenced B. "Isn't that a bit too much?" I chuckled, "It's fine." I was indifferent, for during my entrance exams, my grandmother had cared for me in such a manner. Thus, I had no need for the self-righteous affection of Sue father and mother. During the holidays, I chose not to return home, even for the Dragon Boat Festival, as my roommate insisted on taking me to her family's home. It was a warm and joyful household, welcoming me with open arms, anxious that I felt uncomfortable. My eyes welled with tears as I thought of my close friend and grandmother. In fact, second brother Sue had called me, inquiring why I seemed so dismissive when GE spoke to me at school. GE was heartbroken and ridiculed by classmates for ingratiating herself with the top student. She was the cherished princess of our family. How dare I embarrass her? He insisted, "Lin Si Wang, go to GE's class and deliver her food so they can see how close you two are." On what basis? I retorted. She and I are not particularly close. Nor are you and I. She has usurped my identity, and her parents have subjected me to such hardship. My restraint in not exposing her is my kindness. You expect me to pander to her and explain myself? What do you think you are? I asserted. I owe you nothing. My surname is Lin, not Sue. You have never respected me. Unlike you, I am not Soo Yi's lapdog. Listening to second brother Sue's increasingly labored breathing through the phone, I continued. Please remind Soo Yi to keep her distance from me. We are not familiar. Anyone with dignity knows to maintain boundaries. She continuously provokes me with her presence. My restraint in not revealing her identity is my greatest mercy. Such a shameless creature. I abruptly ended the call and sent the recording to Sue's father, who, not lacking in intelligence, compensated me with a card. Thus, I enjoyed a period of tranquility. With merely 10 days until the college entrance examination, my close friend unexpectedly called, urging me to meet her at the school gate. She arrived, burdened with 2 large bags, perspiration glistening on her brow, waving energetically at me. I could not hold back my tears as I rushed to embrace her. She stepped back, exclaiming, "Oh no, I just prepared this meal." I buried my head in her chest, muffledly saying, "I missed you so much." She paused, gently reassuring me with her chin. "All right, I'm here now. We are about to take the exam. No more tears. We can't cry away our good fortune." I playfully retorted, "Don't say such nonsense. What brings you here?" Her eyes sparkled with joy. "I'm here to support us examinees before the big day. Surely a parent needs to cheer you on." She rambled on about how the outside food was unsanitary and how she would cook for me. As for accompanying me during the exam, she had already purchased a cheapao, declaring, "I will be the most glamorous parent there." "What about your job?" I asked with concern. "Don't worry, you're far more important," she comforted, playfully pinching my nose. "Besides, you are so exceptional. Didn't we agree that you would take care of me in the future? I need to invest in you first, otherwise my conscience will be troubled." At that moment, my heart brimmed with pride. "See, I told you, Lin Siwang has never lacked genuine love." Before the exam, Mother Sue called. "Siwang, Ji's exam venue is too far from yours. Your father has matters to attend to. And only I and your 2 brothers can accompany one of you. You are independent and do well academically, but I worry about Ji. She is quite delicate." Mother Sue sensed the cruelty of her words and quickly added, "Perhaps we could send your second brother with you instead." Second brother immediately interjected, "Not a chance. I want to accompany her. Isn't she capable? She hasn't been home in 6 months and still believes we owe her something. If she's so talented, let her take the exam by herself." The eldest brother concurred. "Siwang is indeed thoughtless. Her temper is too big. It's time for her to learn a lesson." I understood. The Sue family was dissatisfied with my aloof demeanor yet could not pinpoint a fault. They planned to use this situation to teach me a lesson, hoping that my yearning for familial connection would cause me to bow my head and appease them. They assumed my 6-month absence was a rebellion against them, a facade. They awaited my apology. I responded, "Then I want to feel safe alone. Could you provide a bit more financial support?" Mother Sue was taken aback, unable to fathom my decision to live independently. After all, for a young lady, safety was paramount. "What, then, was the purpose of your elaborate performance just now?" "No worries. A reputable hotel boasts excellent security. Moreover, with only a day remaining, you chose to call. My accommodations were already arranged, and I had not prepared rooms for you. My relative arrived 10 days prior, meticulously organizing everything. You need not fret." The other end of the line fell silent, akin to a disconnected call, until, after a considerable pause, I heard Mother Sue's voice, thick with sorrow. "Siwang, are you sulking, blaming your mother for favoritism?" I severed the call, and in an instant, Mother Sue sent me a substantial sum of money. My friend and I exchanged a knowing smile. Reclining in the presidential suite, she sighed contentedly, "Wanger, your job truly is remarkable." I nodded in agreement. Indeed, the earnings from this past year far exceeded my wildest dreams. If I could meet the creator of this world, I would express my heartfelt gratitude. After completing my final examination, my friend presented me with a magnificent bouquet of sunflowers. "How did you fare?" she inquired. I humbly replied, "Quite well." Nearby, 2 familiar friends gifted me the latest designer handbags. Astounded, I asked, "What brings you here?" They giggled, "We are the new maids of the Sue family. This afternoon, they are hosting a celebration banquet, and since we have a holiday, we came to see you. We're incredibly grateful for your work. It has been quite lucrative. And we would like to treat you to a meal. Just as I nodded in acknowledgement, a journalist approached me. Excuse me, your looks are stunning. Are you an art student? I shook my head, responding, no, I am an academic student. Her eyes widened in surprise. Do you find the exams difficult? Not particularly. They were quite manageable. I recognized this as an opportunity. With my grades and appearance, coupled with the Su family's notoriety, seizing this moment could propel me to fame. The most crucial aspect was that this was a narrative world, and the college entrance examination events in a campus-themed story were surely not straightforward. The journalist appeared satisfied, remarking, "You are among the few confident academic students who don't resort to clichés. And who is this beside you?" "My sister. She is here to accompany me for the exam." I gestured to my friend. After dinner that evening, my friend and I booked an early flight back to H province. The class monitor and the director's mother were eagerly awaiting my return for their celebration banquet. The director's mother had also organized something for me. As for the Su family, I had seen Su Jiyi's social media posts depicting her as a blissful little princess, lavish banquets, exquisite makeup, and splendid gowns, accompanied by heartwarming family photos and captions expressing gratitude for the love of her parents and brothers. "I truly am the happiest little princess," she proclaimed. True family stands by you during life's significant milestones, loving and encouraging you regardless of your performance. She even tagged me in her posts. I commented, "Wow, how affluent. I envy the life of Princess Ji, it's my dream." The posts from father and mother Su were quite simple, featuring photos with Su Ji alongside captions praising their well-behaved and understanding daughter. I had no choice but to comment on each, "Your Majesty. The princess's gown is truly beautiful, might I have one too?" Cash would suffice. I was unaware of the WeChat accounts of Su Jiyi's two brothers. Before long, I received a phone call. It was Su Erga, who immediately berated me. "You ingrate. The Su family has supported you, and yet you turn out like this." Indeed, the impoverished often lack contentment. I was too exhausted to explain. Their logic and moral compass seemed utterly devoid of coherence. I hung up, sending the recording to father and mother Su. They attempted to call me several times, but I dismissed each one. An hour later, I received 2 substantial transfers, which satisfied me and allowed me to overlook Su Ergi's rude remarks. Upon returning to H province, I changed my WeChat ID, wishing to avoid their contact. If they truly missed me, they could simply send money to express their longing. I purchased gifts for the class monitor, the director's mother, and others. We dined together. And the director's mother, intoxicated, insisted on lulling me to sleep as she did when I was a child. She rambled on. "I always knew Siwang would grow up to achieve great things. What a lovely name it is, your grandmother even paid someone to choose it, believing it would bring you fortune." I listened in silence. Indeed, she had toiled her entire life, while her children turned a blind eye to her struggles. Out of pride, she departed this world alone. The moment she first laid eyes on me, she took an instant liking to me, holding me close and reluctant to let go. I remarked, "If you like me so much, why not take me with you?" But she refused, claiming she was poor and would not live much longer, assuring me that better people would come to take care of me. "You were stubborn, unwilling to leave, treating her as your true grandmother. She nurtured me, supported my education, and took me on outings." As the director's mother drifted into slumber, I tucked her in. I remembered well that my grandmother owned a small, old house with just 2 rooms, one for me and one for her. I usually lived in an orphanage. My grandmother collected scrap to shield me from the scorn of others, only bringing me home on weekends to improve our lives. During my first year of high school, she was nearing death. A woman of such pride, she carried me to plead with her children to care for me. She feared I would end up like other orphans without an education. With her frail, rough hands, she stroked my hair, her voice hoarse. "Siwang, you must persevere in your studies. You cannot be like your grandmother, who achieved nothing." Yet her children refused, berating me as a bastard, a stray dog. My grandmother, infuriated, ultimately succumbed to her anger. I never discovered who her children were, for they did not attend her funeral. Nor did anyone enlighten me. She wished to spare me the burden of hatred that did not belong to me, selling the house she had intended as my dowry, so I could attend high school. She had never wanted to sell it. She wished for me to have the security that would prevent others from casting me aside. The last remnant of my bond with her was her urn and my name. I carry the surname Lin, belonging to my grandmother. The only one in her life to choose her name. She regarded me as her true granddaughter. Thus, I am not an ungrateful wretch, rather. It is they who do not deserve my affection. I learned that upon my return to the Su family, they had donated a substantial sum to the orphanage. I purchased my grandmother's former house and explored the breathtaking landscapes of our nation with my friend, marking my first genuine holiday without the burden of work. It was truly refreshing. When the results were released, I emerged as the top scorer. My interview video went viral, and the Su family attempted to ride the coattails of my success. To their astonishment, former and current classmates claimed I had no parents and had always been alone, with my friend as my only sister. My identity as an orphan evoked sympathy. The Su family's deception as true heiresses was exposed, and their treatment of me incited outrage, leading to a plummet in their stock prices. They found themselves unable to explain their actions, as netizens articulated what I had long wished to voice. How could a true heiress be named Lin and claim not to show favoritism? If the genuine heiress is so exceptional, how could the false heiress be revealed as a bully and a discriminator against the less fortunate? It was clear she had not been raised by them. One cannot cultivate virtue in a den of vice. The true heiress was indeed a fine bamboo shoot born from a bad grove. Gao Yan took the initiative to call me, asking if I would like a recommendation from our school, promising numerous benefits. I declined, stating I had already made my decision. Lin Siwang, you are truly remarkable. I even doubt you are a Su family member. Thank you for your praise. When I become strong enough, I won't need to make calls. They will seek me out on their own. I began to grasp the person I truly aspired to be elevated. The architect of my own destiny, an unrestrained victor. Even those who once regarded me as inconsequential would eventually recognize my worth. My ambition soared to unprecedented heights. Su Ji was expelled from the Su family due to an accumulation of scandals that came to light. The Su family is not solely comprised of our branch. For father and mother, Su still wield control over the entire Su clan. Brother Su and second brother Su, having unreservedly shielded Su Ji from the consequences of her bullying, were ousted from their executive positions and relegated to the grassroots of the subsidiary company. The three meticulously nurtured children had all become failures, leaving Su father in an unprecedented state of despondency. Prior to the commencement of my freshman year, Su mother extended an invitation for me to visit the Su household, and I acquiesced. With a countenance filled with complexity, she inquired, "Do you love us? Have you ever held genuine feelings for us?" I smiled wryly and replied, "Madam Su, have I ever referred to you as mother?" Upon reflection, she realized that I had not, and her oversight had gone unnoticed. She appeared defeated, lamenting, "If I had only protected you, you would not have been replaced." I interjected, "Madam, I am actually quite grateful to you. It is precisely due to your negligence that I was mistakenly swapped at birth, which spared me from growing up in your household. Had I been raised by you, I might have turned out like the three of them, disdainful of the impoverished and morally corrupt. It was my experience of poverty that instilled in me a tenacity, propelling me forward without a thought of retreat, ultimately shaping me into the Lin Siwang I am today." Su mother trembled, her eyes brimming with regret. "Ji should have been your name. Would you like to reclaim it? We once loved you dearly." I shook my head and elucidated. "Do you know what my name signifies?" Siwang embodies profound thought coupled with boundless hope and achievement. It was bestowed upon me by my grandmother, infused with her utmost affection. Ji, which conveys sincere love, reflects a simple parental fondness, while my name encapsulates a heartfelt blessing and aspiration for a child. I choose my name. Su mother was rendered speechless, uncertain of how to respond. Why is it that beloved boys can be named Wei Guo or Yao Zhu, while cherished girls are relegated to titles like Zhiyu or Jinbao? I take pride in my name, just as I take pride in myself. I am thankful to you, that you did not provide me with love. You bestowed upon me ample wealth, for which I am truly content." Su mother covered her face and wept, while Su father sat silently beside her, his gaze piercing. "Have you not considered that if you do not change your name, the company will never belong to you?" This was, after all, their true intention in seeking me out. There was no genuine remorse. Merely a desperate grasping for a lifeline at the end of their tether. But as a girl in the rigid confines of the Su family, could I truly attain everything? Would they not first exploit me to quell public opinion before reinstating Brother Sue and the others, given that I was viewed as an ungrateful wolf raised among sheep? I shall not change my name. I have no intention of inheriting the Sue family. Sue father gazed at me intently, a tempest brewing in his eyes as he perceived my ambition. Do you believe you can topple us? Why not? I countered. In reality, an ordinary person like me would indeed be incapable. But this is a novel and nothing is impossible. Whomever fate favors wields absolute power. I yearn to seize the Sue family legacy, aspiring to ascend to the pinnacle with my grandmother's love as my foundation. Sue father attempted to support me in vain. He proposed a marriage alliance, yet I remained unacknowledged by the Sue family, rendering him powerless. The indifference of the time allowed me to escape the maelstrom. In his desperation, he had no choice but to recall Sue Ji. After all, the Sue family had nurtured her for so long. And it was time for her to fulfill her filial duty. Sue Ji's reputation lay in ruins, and as she was not the true heiress, she married a nouveau riche with no substantial foundation as his second wife, becoming the stepmother of 2 children. She dared not rebel. For the nouveau riche sustained the Sue family's financial chain, and being underage, she had yet to obtain a marriage certificate. Thus, she had to appease him. Sue father upheld the crumbling Sue family, while Sue mother groveled before others, their pride utterly shattered. Yet their cold and ruthless reputation had already been established, making collaboration with them a perilous endeavor unless they were deemed irreplaceable. Second brother Sue, harboring violent tendencies, found himself without the protection of the Sue family. He assaulted someone, landing himself in the hospital and subsequently faced incarceration. Brother Sue, a deviant since childhood, had harbored feelings for Sue Ji. Upon learning of her subservience in the nouveau riche's household and the disdain she faced, he was filled with rage. He contemplated eloping with Sue Ji. Yet she was not foolish. Following him would only lead to a life far worse than her current one. When Brother Sue was discovered by the nouveau riche, he was beaten, and as he lay in a back alley, the impoverished Aunt Wang plunged a knife into him, leaving him with a damaged kidney. Truth be told, I never believed they would genuinely feel sorrow for my plight. At most, they would regret their treatment of me only after descending into their own hell, lamenting their past neglect of me and their lack of affection. Sue Ji bore the unmistakable marks of Sue father and Sue mother. A righteous parent, even if they favored an adopted daughter, would not neglect their biological child. Conversely, an adopted daughter raised in a loving family would not turn out wretched. She would surely be a girl of understanding and brightness. Thus, my animosity towards Sue Ji is eclipsed by my disdain for every member of the Sue family. I am grateful that I was brought up by my grandmother. I graduated from university with flying colors. During my time at school, I partnered with Gao Yan to establish a company, undertaking projects with my roommates. The company flourished, and I emerged as a rising star in the business world. My name became increasingly recognized. My decisive nature garnered me a substantial following. I proudly proclaimed to all that I was raised by my grandmother, who had made me who I am. I purchased luxurious homes and cars for my closest friends and established a foundation to support the education of children in orphanages. Once again, Sue father extended an invitation to me, and I left him waiting for several days before agreeing to meet. His hair had turned completely white, and his gaze was weary, devoid of its former sharpness. He had realized that he had lost the confidence bestowed upon him by the Sue family and that resurrecting the company was beyond his capabilities. He admitted his impotence and that he could no longer endure. He cautiously asked, "Do you still recognize us?" I smiled faintly. "Is the Sue family willing to sell itself to me?" His eyes reflected an inner struggle, tinged with a glimmer of hope. "Perhaps you could leave me some shares?" I declined, stating that I would only repay the funds they had provided me once they acknowledged me, after which I would take over the Sue family's dilapidated affairs. The Sue family had become a burden to them, their debts were unmanageable, and they were facing lawsuits. Yet I lacked for nothing. The Sue family represented an opportunity for me, a stepping stone to expand my business empire. Seeing him still hesitating, I added, "You may choose to wait, but you will only regret it when you find yourself with nothing." Sue father's expression darkened as he nodded helplessly. My first act upon assuming leadership was to rebrand Sue Group as Lin Group. At the banquet, many discreetly endeavored to curry favor with me, eager to establish connections. Gao Yan raised his glass in a toast. "Lin Si Wang, you are truly remarkable." Have you considered a powerful alliance with me? I shook my head, expressing my disinterest in a marriage alliance, even though I sensed Gao Yan's subtle affection for me. I would not gamble my fate on others. When the time was right, I would naturally find a partner to share my life with, be it a girl or a boy. As for the future, who can truly predict it? The story concludes here. Thank you for listening. I look forward to our next tale.